man, what a peaceful nap I just had that lasted approximately 6 to 8 hours and definitely not 4 to 5 months. Well, time to wake up and start the day. Excuse me, what the actual fuck are you doing in my house? Hey guys, it's Bronze. For those wondering, yes, I am still alive, and you can tell that by realizing that I'm currently recording the New Year's 2024/25 special. And also, if you're wondering why I'm recording this in my bed, that's because I felt like it, fuck you. And also, it took me like way too long to like rig stuff together so that this actually works. So, sunk cost fallacy. She sunk on my cost till I fallacy. For those uninitiated, this is an annual fireside chat that I like to do, basically just doing some house cleaning about the stuff that I did this year, the stuff I said I would do but didn't actually, and the stuff that I have planned for the upcoming year. And as you may or may not notice, this one's a little shorter than the other ones that I've released previously. And we'll get to that, don't worry. But for now, it's tradition to start these videos off by talking about the promises that I made last year about the things that I would do, and make excuses for why I didn't do any of them. I didn't go in detail about a lot of the stuff that I had planned in 2024, but I did mention a couple of things that I still hung on to the idea that I would do for whatever reason. For example, I said in last year's New Year's video that I would try and stream more regularly in 2024, and nah. Yeah, no, I feel like me streaming by myself, talking directly to my audience, is something that sounded really good on paper, but there were a lot of things that led to that really not being the case. For one, I didn't have a lot of free time at the beginning of 2024, and 1.5, I guess. When I did have time, I felt like I would want to spend it on things that required more effort out of me. Like if I had a big project in the works, I felt like live streaming, just like sitting around doing nothing, or like trying to make up something I can do live on the fly, that just sort of eats into the time that I could be working on researching or writing or editing or whatever. And two, I did have a couple ideas for more like centralized, gimmicky idea streams that either I just wasn't able to do, so they're just on the back burner until I'm able to do them, or they were just things that I didn't really see myself doing on stream that I couldn't just make a video about, you know? There really isn't anything to the content that I make now that I need to do on the fly in a live stream. So sadly, that meant that I just didn't really stream at all in 2024. On my channel. But yeah, if you're in the know, if you've been following me on other places, you probably know what I'm gonna say, but for over a year at this point, I have been the co-host of a live show podcast of sorts called Degeneracy Live. Their title, not mine. It's also hosted by my friend Drake Dragsaw, that's the guy from the SpongeBob Darts video, and nothing else, as well as a revolving door of other friends that we have on the show. But yeah, if you really want to see me talk about things on a live stream, then go over to Degeneracy Live. The link should be somewhere. And the second thing that I said that I was going to do in 2024 was that I was going to try and broaden the scope of what I'm allowing myself to talk about on my channel. Basically to try and push myself to be more algorithm friendly, I guess, by staying in the same avenue of like obscure, weird stories that I find charming, but just pushed more towards mainstream areas. Which was sort of a thing that was snowballing at the end of 2023, like with all the rock controversy documentaries that I made and all the obscure internet history, music trivia, whatever. And I'd like to think that that was a trend that continued throughout 2024, but I can't really be the judge of that at the moment due to the elephant in the room that I'm sure you're familiar with. Now the third thing is something that I didn't directly promise to you guys, but it was something that was heavily implied throughout the video, and that was that I was going to make content. Yeah, in case you weren't following the channel this year, I only uploaded 3 videos. There were a number of factors that I think went into why that was the case, which I'm gonna go over. For one, I sort of strung myself a little thin with the amount of projects that I had in the works behind the scenes. Like, I had a lot of videos that are currently in the, like, research/writing phase at the moment, but every video that I wanted to do seemingly had its own personalized hurdle that I had to try and jump through just to get it made. Either from me choosing more complex stories and me not being sure how to structure the narrative of the video, or from me having a pretty decently simple story to tell, but me just not having certain resources that would be integral to me telling that story. And like, I don't think I need to say, but procrastination was also definitely a factor here. Or I guess more specifically, motivation. Not that I had a lack of it fully, but just that when I did have spikes in motivation, they were sort of jumping between projects all over the place. Like, it was difficult this year, for whatever reason, to dedicate myself to a single project and get it through the full pipeline. And when that did happen, it got uploaded onto the YouTube channel. So for the 3 videos that you guys did get, imagine like 12 more that hypothetically could also exist in the future. But yeah, when I had those spikes in motivation, they would just go towards whatever video topic that I found interesting at that particular moment. And plus there were other things like stuff for side channels and stuff for projects completely unrelated to what I do. But no matter what problems preceded videos happening, there were a couple of videos that did end up existing in the physical realm. And this video isn't about me making random excuses for why I'm not uploading, it's talking about the details behind the uploads that I did make. And starting off, we have the ranking Billboard number 100 hits video from January. I feel like the phrase that best describes the creation of that video is that I learned a lot, both in terms of the stories that I found regarding these songs, and from the pain of being a music YouTuber. Like, I wanted the video to get out like early to mid-January, so I had like a decently strict deadline that I had to follow, on top of doing the New Year's video for that year, which like wasn't actually that hard, but that did still eat into the time. And then it was just simply my first time trying to do a ranking video, which, it's weird to say, but required more effort to think about than I thought, especially with a topic like this, where like the overall feeling was just mid, so I had to like sift through the little bits that I did actually have thoughts on in order to make my ranking. And also, as is hinted at in the video, I hate the copyright system way more than I ever did before. Like, if you're talking about mainstream music, like pop or country or hip-hop or whatever, you can't even use a single frame of a music video without getting completely blocked in every country and fully demonetized, which I'm not making any money off this shit anyway, but that's even less money. I envy people, and also pity them, in equal measure, if they're trapped into talking about pop music as their main source of income. But all the normal YouTube complaining aside, it was a really fun video to make. Like, despite the things that I am interested, these topics really aren't the ones that I get to talk about that often on the channel, and that's just due to my own weird brain thing about not talking about things people have already talked about, but also being forced down avenues in research that I never would have even thought to look for. Like, I don't think there's another universe out there besides this one that has me not making the ranking video, but also somehow bringing up the fact that The Fighter by Keith Urban was inspired by Marvin Gaye by Charlie Puth and Meghan Trainor. And looking into stuff like this and thinking about it, as hard as I had to do for a ranking video, it's fun. And that's why the accidental thesis to all of the videos that I put out in 2024 were to find the little bits of information you find interesting and share them with the world. And speaking of things that I find interesting and no one else, the next video on our list is the Smash Mouth Lost Media video. I was not lying at the end of that video when I said I had a stockpile of Smash Mouth trivia that I am eventually going to talk about. Heck, that wasn't even all the lost media that I could have shared. That was just the stuff that like fit with the theme in the video. There's some fucked up shit you don't even know about. You're never gonna look at the bass player of Smash Mouth the same way again. But yeah, it's always fun to make a video talking about my hyperfixation. I know you get it. Statistically, you are also neurodivergent, and the threat is real. I have some Smash Mouth stuff in the works, or Smash Mouth adjacent topics that I found trying to find Smash Mouth things and ended up stumbling into some other thing. Now, for all 3 of these videos, there isn't really much in terms of the aftermath of releasing them. There isn't like any updates on the stories that I could share or anything. Well, I mean, unless we're talking about the fact that a high-quality version of the BAM magazine poster that I was looking at in this video was just sitting on the band's Twitter all this time. I just didn't think to look there like a fucking moron. But even besides that, the Smash Mouth video is a marked exception. So I got a story to weave. So I upload the Smash Mouth Lost Media video, and I make a post announcing it, on my Twitter. The post had a caption of something to the effect of, when you're a band that's been reduced to 1 or 2 songs, there are things that are bound to slip through the cracks. And this is a little quirk that I like to do in my Twitter announcements, but whenever I can, I try to @ the person in the post. This never does anything because I'm not a noteworthy person, but it's just a thing that I like to do, just throw out the bait there just in case. And in this just the case, something did actually happen. And this isn't going the way you think it is. Smash Mouth replied to my post saying, quote, "fucking stupid shit" with a sarcastic emoji, and then immediately afterwards, they blocked me on Twitter. Like, I really don't care about people blocking me on Twitter. Like, it's Twitter. But I was so in shock about how strongly they misread the thing that I was saying. Like, clearly the tweet was supposed to be like, yeah, this band is more than the 1 or 2 songs that you guys think that they are. Here's a whole fucking video talking about all the lost media that they have. But I guess whoever the unpaid intern that runs the Smash Mouth Twitter account was, they read the words reduced to 1 or 2 songs and then got flung into a violent rage. So I unfortunately had to do a multi-day campaign to get the band that I like to unblock me from Twitter for saying that I like them. Eventually, I did end up getting unblocked, but that also meant that there was no way that I was going to get an actual response from the band, or from the social media team at least, about my video, which again, that's not something that I take stock in, but it's just kind of disappointing that it went down the road that it did. And ironically, or perhaps unfortunately, that's sort of the mindset that I have for modern Smash Mouth as a whole. The thing that I'm truly interested in my research, is the historic Smash Mouth. Like the story of this big cultural moment surrounding the singular band, and the ways that they tried and failed to continue that legacy. But nowadays they're falling into like a nostalgia bait Beach Boys touring rut, where they're just constantly on the road doing nothing but playing the same 3 songs over and over again. And for a number of reasons, some of which I'm sure you're aware of, the band is just completely unrecognizable to the kind of band that I think about when I hear the word Smash Mouth. Like, to give you an example, for the music video to one of the more recent Smash Mouth singles, it mainly consists of like stock footage of beaches and driving or whatever, but there were a couple clips of the band members driving around in a Cybertruck, and I don't know, man, maybe the band that's been progressive this entire time and has written multiple songs about how we need to protect the environment, I feel like that's out of character. God, I should not be drinking this while I'm making a video. I burp like shit. Fortunately for all of that, the turmoil of the aftermath of this video is balanced out from the fact that I really like the way the video turned out on its own, and it's always fun to do research into these kinds of things. And again, more Smash Mouth videos are on the way. I do hate you. Let's get Kirby in here. Kirby needs to hear all of this, my baby boy. So yeah, after the Smash Mouth video, there was a larger project, not 2 hours long, but like a decently sized script that I had in the works. Like, I don't know, as soon as there was a single roadblock in the writing process for whatever reason, my brain just immediately gives up. So I was doing the thing where I was jumping back and forth between projects for a little bit, and I was like, okay, this has gone on far enough. I need to make a video. Like, I need something that I can just get out, go through the process as smoothly as possible, while in the background of working on all this other stuff. And fortunately, I have a little list of like mini stories that like perhaps I could flesh out into full, smaller videos if I ever needed to, or like YouTube shorts if I'm feeling like a masochist. And there was this one story that I found just like scouring the Internet Archive that I found really funny, but there wasn't too much meat to it in the state that it was in before doing the writing. So I thought, this is something interesting to showcase. Maybe I could like do some more digging and see if there's any other details that I missed. And after a bit, that sort of spiraled / POS into the Kanye West 808s and Heartbreak contest video. And like, man, I just really like the way this one turned out, you know? It feels weird to say, but I think before making this video, I had forgotten how fun it was to just make a normal-sized video. Like, I remember looking back at like the initial Smash Mouth documentary or the Fun documentary and thinking to myself, wow, this is my magnum opus. I'm never gonna make a video that's a half an hour long ever again. I feel like at a certain point, I just sort of expected that the videos that I made were going to balloon into the behemoths that they usually do. Like even the Smash Mouth Lost Media video was initially going to be way shorter than it ended up being because there were so many things that tied into other things and there were some things that I was just excited to bring up. But something that I hopefully will get used to, considering the fact that a lot of the ideas that I have right now are smaller things, is that I should be comfortable with a video that's like at most 20 minutes long. Like there are certain stones that you can just leave unturned and you can have a good like setup, build up, payoff narrative in a compact 15-minute YouTube video about Kanye West. That was a smaller elephant that also happens to be in the room, is that this video was about Kanye West in 2024. Like when I was just sitting on the idea for this video for the longest time, that partly was because Kanye was on sort of a losing streak in terms of public image, and I felt like making a video even interested in a thing related to him was sort of poking a bear that I didn't want to. But fortunately for me, what ended up happening was that Kanye West became a ridiculous loser that people only look back at the things he made in the past fondly, or at least like normal people. So in the end, I made this video at a point in time in which me saying that I liked 808s and Heartbreak wasn't going to immediately destine me to hell. But yeah, I get a lot of compliments about the Dare video from people, and I feel like that's the thing that I want to try and strive for in terms of smaller content. Just like a good 15-minute video that's got all the stuff you need, the whole narrative's there, and it's nice. And with that, that was the final video that I released in 2024. In August. So since we're at the end here, this is the point where I start to talk about the stuff I have planned for 2025. I'm not gonna give any direct or detailed promises because I've learned in the past maybe 3 New Year's videos that that is a mistake. So this ending bit is mostly going to be a reassurance to you that I am going to make videos. All of the hurdles that I said that I had at the beginning of the video, like a lack of resources or motivation to make things or just procrastination in general, all of those things should be solved now. All of the issues with not having things or having things that don't function the way that they should, all of those are fixed, so whenever I want to, I can start work on those and get those videos out. And I now have a more concrete timeline about the videos that I'm going to make throughout the year, so hopefully things like procrastination or jumping between motivation of different projects, those all should be things that are in the past. I say hopefully because, like, I'm Only Human by Rag and Bone Man, or Christina Perry, whichever you prefer. And all the stuff that I said about making smaller videos, that's also on the table. I have a lot of projects in the works that are not as sprawling of narratives or even that deep as the kinds of things that I would make hour-long videos on. At most, you could call some of these stories information-dense, but only in the way that there's a long list of things that I need to say. So with that, that's all the stuff that I did in 2024, which wasn't much, and that's all the stuff that I have planned for 2025, which is more. Again, I do genuinely apologize that I, like, barely did anything this year. Let it be known that I was working on stuff behind the scenes this entire time, but all the problems that I've been talking about just added up to the point where only these 3 videos were the ones that got released. If you want an actual promise out of this video, there's gonna be something at most at the end of February. Like I'm right there, you know? But yeah, with all that being said, that was the 2024 New Year's in Review video. I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk about the behind-the-scenes aspect of all the stuff that I do. It's not something that I do incredibly often, unless it's like a normal update post. Or it's particularly interesting, like the Smash Mouth Twitter story, but these videos are always fun to make, just like, come to base with all of you people. Come to base? What the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked this video, then be sure to like this video, and if you really enjoyed this video, then be sure to subscribe to see more videos, and I'll see you all somewhere. I don't know.